I'm Major Elena Adams, 34, United States Air Force. I worked my way up from an enlisted kid paying off my parents' debts to a commissioned officer trusted to lead crews halfway around the world. For years, I covered my family's bills, their mistakes, their silence, and told myself it was loyalty. But when they mocked my wedding, my dress, and the man I was about to marry, I realized loyalty without respect is just servitude. So I made a choice that changed everything. Have you ever been dismissed or humiliated by people you kept standing up for? If so, tell me your story in the comments. You're not alone. Before I get into what happened, let me know where you're watching from. And if you've ever had to draw a hard line and reclaim your worth, tap that like button and subscribe for more true stories about boundaries, respect, and what it really means to stand your ground. What happened next might surprise you. I stand in front of the three-way mirror in a bridal boutique just outside Colorado Springs, watching my mother circle me like a drone surveying damage. The dress is simple, ivory crepe, clean lines, nothing ostentatious. I chose it because it doesn't compete with my uniform when I wear both at the civil ceremony beforehand. My mother's expression suggests I've shown up in fatigues. It's very plain, she says, touching the fabric between two fingers as if testing its quality. Are you sure this is what you want? I mean, for a wedding. I meet her eyes in the mirror. It's what I ordered. Of course. She steps back, arms crossed. I just thought, well, never mind what I thought. My father leans against the doorframe, scrolling through his phone. He hasn't looked up since I came out of the dressing room. How much did this run you? He asks. It's within my budget. That's not what I asked. I tell him. He whistles low, shakes his head. You're paying that for something you'll wear once? Jesus, Elena. You've always been tight with money, but I thought you'd splurge a little for your own wedding. I don't respond. There's no point explaining that I've splurged plenty on their mortgage when his consulting business folded, on my brother Ethan's tuition when he dropped out halfway through junior year, on my mother's dental work when their insurance lapsed. The dress is modest because I've learned to be. The seamstress kneels beside me, pinning the hem. My mother watches her work with a critical eye, then glances at me. You're standing so stiff. You know that, right? All those years in the service, it shows. You don't carry yourself like a bride. I carry myself like a major. Exactly my point. My father finally looks up from his phone. He grins, the same grin he's worn my whole life when he thinks he's being clever. Nobody wants a woman who outranks her husband, kiddo. You thought about that. I feel the seamstress's hands pause for half a second before resuming. My jaw tightens, but I keep my voice level. James isn't concerned about rank. James. My father rolls the name around like he's tasting wine. You still haven't told us what he does. Some mid-level desk job at the Pentagon. He's Navy. Yeah, you said. But what does he actually do? He serves. My father laughs. All right, keep your secrets. I'm just saying, if he's anything like the officers I've met, he's probably got an ego the size of a carrier. You sure you can handle that? My mother jumps in before I can answer. What your father means is we just want to make sure you're making the right choice. You've always been so independent, so driven. We don't want you settling just because you're getting older. I'm 34. By military standards, I'm right on track. By their standards, I'm already past my prime. The seamstress finishes pinning and stands, brushing off her knees. You're all set, Major Adams. I'll have this ready 2 weeks before the ceremony. I thank her and step off the platform. My mother trails me into the dressing room, hovering near the door. Have you thought about the flowers? She asks. Because I saw some arrangements at the country club that were just stunning. I could make a few calls, I've already ordered them. Oh. Her voice flattens. What did you choose? White roses. Simple. She's quiet for a beat. Well, I suppose that's economical. I shrug out of the dress carefully, hanging it on the padded hanger. The ceremony's small. 50 people, mostly military. I don't need a showpiece. 50 people, she repeats. Elena, this is your wedding. Don't you want it to feel special? It will be. She sighs, and I can hear the disappointment she's not bothering to mask. I just hope this James of yours appreciates what he's getting. You've worked so hard, sacrificed so much. You deserve someone who sees that. I pull my blouse on, buttoning it with practiced efficiency. He does. Good. She lingers a moment longer, then adds, "You know we're proud of you, right? Even if we don't always say it." I meet her gaze in the dressing room mirror. "Sure, Mom." She leaves, and I finish dressing in silence. When I emerge, my father's waiting by the register, wallet conspicuously absent. I pay the deposit myself, sign the receipt, and follow them out to the parking lot. On the drive back to their house, my mother talks about the rehearsal dinner, who's coming, what she's planning to serve, how she hopes the weather holds. My father interrupts occasionally with a joke or a jab, mostly at my expense. I let it roll off. I've been doing this my whole life. Ethan's sprawled on the couch when we walk in, controller in hand, headset mic flipped up. He glances at me, nods. "How'd it go?" "Fine. Cool." He returns to his game. My mother heads to the kitchen, and my father drops into his recliner with a groan. I stand in the entryway for a moment, duffel bag slung over one shoulder, garrison cap folded in my hand. This house used to feel like home. Now it just feels like a place I'm obligated to visit. "You sticking around for dinner?" my father asks. "Can't. I have a flight back to base at 1800. 1800, he mimics. "You know, most people just say 6 o'clock. I don't take the bait. I'll be back next week for the rehearsal." "Yeah, about that." He shifts in his chair, scratching his jaw. "You gonna finally introduce us to this guy, or is he gonna stay a mystery until the big day?" "He'll be at the rehearsal. Looking forward to it." The grin again. "Hope he's got a sense of humor. You're gonna need it in this family." I think about James, his steady presence, the way he listens before he speaks, the quiet authority he carries without needing to announce it. I think about the first time we met at a Joint Forces Leadership Symposium in Norfolk. I didn't know his rank. I just knew he spoke about command in a way that made sense to me, like it was a responsibility rather than a trophy. "He does, I say." My father chuckles. "We'll see." I hug my mother goodbye, nod to my father, ruffle Ethan's hair on my way out. He swats at my hand without looking away from the screen. I close the front door behind me, step into the Colorado afternoon, and breathe. 2 weeks. I can do 2 weeks. I drive to the airport, return my rental, and check in for my flight. The terminal's nearly empty midweek, mid-afternoon, most travelers already at their gates. I find a seat near the window and pull out my phone. There's a text from James. "How'd it go?" I type back, about what I expected. His reply comes quickly. "That bad?" "They'll behave at the wedding. They know how to perform when it matters." 3 dots appear, then disappear. Then, "You okay?" I look out at the tarmac, watching a ground crew load cargo into AC-130. "I'm fine. See you Monday." "Roger that. Love you." "Love you too." I pocket the phone and lean back in my seat. In 2 weeks, my family will meet the man I'm marrying. They'll make their assumptions, crack their jokes, measure him against whatever standard they've invented. And then the master of ceremonies will announce his name and rank, and everything will shift. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it because I'm tired of managing their expectations. I'm tired of softening the truth to make them comfortable. They wanted to meet James. They'll meet him. I close my eyes and wait for my boarding call, already planning my week. The rehearsal dinner is held at an Italian restaurant my mother picked, mid-range, nothing fancy, but clean and well-lit. She's arranged the tables herself, place cards printed on ivory cardstock with elaborate script. My father's already holding court near the bar when I arrive, telling some story to a couple of my old high school friends who showed up out of politeness. Ethan's on his phone in the corner, thumbs flying. I check my watch, 18:30. James texted an hour ago. He's still on base, wrapping up a briefing. He'll be here by 1900. I told my mother this. She nodded, smiled, said, "Well, we'll just have to start without him." I take my seat at the head table. My mother's seated herself beside me, my father across. Ethan slouches into the chair next to him, still scrolling. The other guests filter in, a few aunts and uncles, some family friends, my maid of honor from my academy days, Captain Sarah Brennan. Sarah catches my eye from across the room and gives me a look that says hang in there. I nod back. My father taps his glass with a knife and the room quiets. He stands, grinning wide, and I know immediately this isn't going to be the toast we discussed. All right, everyone, thanks for coming. He gestures toward me with his glass. We're here to celebrate my daughter Elena, who's finally decided to settle down. Took her long enough, right? Polite laughter. I keep my expression neutral. Now, I haven't met the groom yet. He's apparently very important, very busy, but I'm sure he's a good guy. I mean, he'd have to be to put up with Elena. He pauses for effect. Anyone who can tolerate her chain of command deserves a medal. The laughter's louder this time. I feel my mother's hand on my arm, a light squeeze that might be sympathy or warning. Sarah's jaw tightens across the room. Ethan snorts into his drink. My father continues, warming to his theme. You know, people always ask me, Bob, what's it like having a daughter in the military? And I tell them, it's like having a drill sergeant at Thanksgiving. She shows up, inspects the turkey, tells you you're doing it wrong, then leaves before dessert. More laughter. I take a sip of water, focusing on the coolness of the glass. But seriously, my father says, his tone shifting to something that might pass for sincerity, we're proud of Elena. She's always been driven, always had to prove something. And I guess she proved it, found herself an officer, probably some mid-level guy who's just as obsessed with acronyms and regulations as she is. He raises his glass. To Elena and, what's his name again? James, I say quietly. Right, James? To Elena and James, may they have a very disciplined, very punctual marriage. Everyone drinks. I don't. My father sits down, looking pleased with himself. My mother leans over and whispers, he's just nervous. You know how he gets. I don't answer. I'm running calculations in my head, how many hours until I can leave, how many more interactions I'll have to endure, whether I can reasonably excuse myself early without making a scene. Sarah appears at my elbow. Want to take a walk? I shake my head. I'm fine. You don't look fine. I'm fine. She studies me for a moment, then squeezes my shoulder and returns to her seat. Dinner is served. The conversation flows around me, questions about the ceremony, comments about the venue, speculation about the honeymoon. My mother mentions that we're not taking one immediately because of my deployment schedule. My father jokes that the Navy probably doesn't believe in vacations anyway. Ethan, emboldened by his second beer, leans across the table. So, what's this guy like? You still haven't told us anything. He's a good man, I say. Yeah, but like, what's his deal? What does he do? He's an officer. We got that part. What kind of officer? The kind who serves his country. Ethan rolls his eyes. Jesus, Elena, we're not asking for classified intel. Just tell us what the guy does. I set down my fork, meet his gaze. He commands. Commands what? Does it matter? I mean, yeah, we're about to have him in the family. We'd like to know who he is. My father chimes in. She's being cagey because she knows we'll razz her if he's some paper pusher. Come on, kiddo, what's his rank? Captain? Major? I don't answer. I'm saved by the arrival of dessert, tiramisu my mother special ordered. The conversation shifts to the wedding cake, the photographer, the DJ. I let it wash over me. At 2000 hours, I excuse myself. My mother follows me into the hallway near the restrooms. Elena, honey, are you all right? I'm fine, Mom. Your father didn't mean anything by it. You know how he is, he jokes when he's uncomfortable. I know. And we're all just curious about James. You've been so secretive. I haven't been secretive. I've been private. There's a difference. She sighs. I just want to make sure you're happy. That's all any of us want. I look at her, really look at her, and I see the same pattern I've seen my whole life. The concern that's really control. The love that comes with conditions. The support that evaporates the moment I step outside their expectations. I am happy, I tell her. I'm marrying someone who respects me. Someone who sees me as an equal. Of course he does, sweetheart. She pats my arm. I just hope he appreciates how lucky he is. I don't tell her that James says the same thing about me. That we built our relationship on mutual respect, not luck. That he's never once made a joke at my expense or diminished my accomplishments to make himself feel bigger. I need to go, I say. Early day tomorrow. Already? But we haven't. I'll see you at the ceremony, Mom. I hug her briefly, collect my jacket from the coat check, and leave. Sarah catches up with me in the parking lot. You okay to drive? She asks. I'm sober. That's not what I asked. I unlock my car, toss my jacket in the back. I'll be fine, Sarah. Your family's, I know. She's quiet for a moment. James is still coming to the wedding, right? 1900 Friday. He wouldn't miss it. Good. She studies me in the dim light. You deserve better than this, you know. I'm getting better. That's the point. I slide into the driver's seat, start the engine. Sarah steps back, gives me a small salute, half serious, half ironic. I return it and drive away. The road back to my hotel is empty, the night air cool through the cracked window. I think about my father's toast, my brother's interrogation, my mother's careful concern. I think about the years I spent trying to earn their approval, the promotions I shared only to have them downplayed, the sacrifices I made that were taken for granted. And I think about Friday, about the moment when Admiral James Lawson walks into that reception hall and everything my family assumed about me, about my choices, about my worth, gets rewritten in an instant. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because I'm done protecting their egos at the expense of my truth. I park at the hotel, kill the engine, and sit in the silence. My phone buzzes. James. Dinner over? Just left. It was exactly what I expected. Want to talk about it? Tomorrow. Right now I just want to sleep. Roger. Love you. Love you too. I pocket the phone, grab my jacket, and head inside. 2 days until the ceremony. I can do 2 days. I grew up in a 3-bedroom ranch house 10 miles from the Air Force Academy. From our back porch, you could see the chapel's aluminum spires catching the afternoon light. My father used to joke that the academy was taunting him, all that prestige, all that order, just out of reach. He'd tried to make it as a consultant after leaving his corporate job in Denver. Something about wanting to be his own boss, set his own hours, build something from scratch. It lasted 3 years before the clients dried up and the debt piled high. My mother went back to work as a receptionist. I was 16. Ethan was 10. The summer before my senior year, my father sat me down at the kitchen table and explained, in the careful tone people use when they're embarrassed, that college wasn't going to happen the way we'd planned. No money for tuition. Maybe community college, maybe loans, maybe I'd take a year off and work. I looked at him across that table and made a decision. 2 weeks later, I walked into the Air Force recruiting office downtown. The recruiter, a master sergeant with 20 years under his belt, asked me what I wanted to do with my life. I told him I wanted to serve. He asked me if I was running from something or running toward something. I said both. I enlisted at 17 with my parents' signature. Basic training at Lackland, then tech school, then my first posting at a logistics hub in Delaware. I sent money home every month, not a lot at first, but enough to help. When I made staff sergeant at 23, I sent more. When I commissioned through ROTC at 26, I took over their mortgage payments. They never asked. I just did it. Because that's what you do when you're raised to believe family comes first, even when family wouldn't do the same for you. By the time I made captain, my father's consulting business had failed twice more. My mother's hours had been cut. Ethan had dropped out of college and moved back home. They needed help with everything: car repairs, medical bills, Ethan's credit card debt. I covered it. I didn't keep score. I just sent the checks and kept climbing. I met James at a Joint Forces Symposium in Norfolk 4 years ago. I was a captain then, newly pinned, attending a panel on coalition command structures. He was seated 3 rows ahead of me, listening intently, asking questions that showed he actually understood the material. After the session, we ended up at the same coffee station in the lobby. He asked me what I thought of the discussion. I told him the panelists had missed the point, that effective command wasn't about hierarchy, it was about trust. He smiled and said, finally, someone who gets it. We talked for an hour. He didn't mention his rank. I didn't ask. We swapped emails, stayed in touch. 6 months later, we met for dinner when I was in DC for a conference. A year after that, he flew to Colorado Springs for a weekend leave. By the time I learned he was a rear admiral, I was already in love with the man, not the rank. He proposed on a beach in Virginia, just the two of us, no ceremony, no spectacle. He asked me if I minded the age difference. He was 51, I was 32. I told him I minded the question more than the gap. He laughed and slipped the ring on my finger. I called my parents to tell them I was engaged. My mother squealed, asked a dozen questions at once. My father's first response was, "What does he do?" "He's Navy," I said. "Officer." "Yes." "Well, that's good. At least he's not some grunt." I didn't tell him James had started as an enlisted sailor, worked his way through the academy on scholarship, earned every promotion through performance. I didn't tell him that James held more authority in his left hand than my father had wielded in his entire life. I just said, "He's a good man." "I'm sure he is," my father replied. "Can't wait to meet him." But the months went by and schedules didn't align. James was deployed. I was transferred. Our engagement stretched across time zones and duty stations. We planned the wedding for April, during a narrow window when we'd both have leave. I told my family to save the date. My mother started planning immediately: flowers, seating charts, menus. My father made jokes about James being a mystery man. Ethan asked if I was sure I wasn't marrying some weirdo I met online. I let them speculate. I let them assume. Because I knew that when they finally met James, when they saw him in uniform, when they heard his rank announced, every assumption they'd made would collapse. I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. I wanted them to understand, in a single moment, what I'd been trying to tell them my whole life: that respect isn't given, it's earned. That rank is a reflection of service, not status. That I had built a life defined by discipline, sacrifice, and partnership, not luck or compromise. James understood this. He'd walked the same path, climbed the same ladder, carried the same burdens. When I told him about my family's reaction to our engagement, he just nodded and said, "They'll figure it out." "What if they don't?" I asked. "Then they don't. But you and I, we know what we have." He was right. We did. And that was enough. The night before the wedding, I sit alone in my hotel room in Colorado Springs, reviewing my vows. I've written and rewritten them a dozen times, trying to find the balance between honesty and restraint. James said he wanted simple, no grand declarations, no poetry, just truth. So I've kept it short: a promise to stand beside him, to honor our partnership, to face whatever comes with the same discipline we've applied to our service. I'm in my uniform shirt, sleeves rolled to my elbows, when there's a knock at the door. I check the peephole, my mother. I open the door halfway. "Hey, Mom." "Hi, sweetheart." She's holding a garment bag. "I thought I'd bring your dress over. Make sure you have everything you need for tomorrow. I picked it up this afternoon." "Oh." She hesitates, then smiles. "Well, can I come in anyway?" "Just for a minute." I step aside. She enters, sets the garment bag on the bed, looks around the room. It's military sparse, my uniforms hanging in the closet, my boots by the door, a single duffel bag packed and ready. "You travel light," she observes. "Have it." She sits on the edge of the bed, smooths her skirt. "Are you nervous?" "No." "Not even a little?" "No." She laughs softly. "You've always been so composed. Even when you were little, you never cried. Your father used to say you'd make a terrible actress because you couldn't fake emotion to save your life." I don't respond. I'm standing near the window, arms crossed, waiting for whatever she came here to say. "I just wanted to make sure you're happy," she continues. "That you're doing this for the right reasons." "What are the wrong reasons?" "I don't know." "Pressure? Feeling like you're running out of time?" "Settling because I'm not settling." I know. It's just," she pauses, choosing her words carefully. "You've given so much of yourself to your career, Elena. And that's wonderful. We're proud of you. But marriage is different. It's about compromise, about putting someone else first." I know what marriage is. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've spent your whole life putting yourself second. And I worry that you're about to do it again. I turn to face her. "What are you really asking, Mom?" She meets my eyes. "I'm asking if you're sure James is the right man for you. Because we've never met him, we don't know him, and tomorrow you're going to marry him in front of everyone we know. And if he's not who you say he is, if he doesn't show up, or if he'll show up. How do you know?" Because he gave me his word. She's quiet for a moment. Then she stands, walks over to me, and places a hand on my cheek. I just don't want you to get hurt. That's all. I resist the urge to pull away. I've been hurt before. I survived. This is different. No, it's not. She drops her hand, steps back. You're so stubborn. You've always been so stubborn. I learned from the best. She smiles faintly, but there's no warmth in it. Just don't make a scene tomorrow if things don't go the way you planned. Your father has his colleagues coming, and Ethan invited some friends, and there won't be a scene. Good. She picks up her purse, heads for the door. Get some rest. Tomorrow's a big day. Mom. She turns. Why did you really come here? She considers the question, then shrugs. Because I'm your mother. And I worry. After she leaves, I lock the door and return to the window. The city lights stretch out below, the mountains dark silhouettes against the sky. I think about the deployments where silence meant survival, where speaking up, showing emotion, revealing weakness could cost you everything. I think about the commanding officers who taught me that discipline isn't about suppressing who you are, it's about channeling it into something productive. I spent years trying to make my family understand that I wasn't running away from them, I was running towards something better. I sent them money, visited when I could, tolerated their jokes and their assumptions because I thought eventually they'd see me for who I am. But they don't. They see a daughter who outgrew them, a sister who set a standard they can't meet, a woman who chose a life they don't understand. And tomorrow, when Admiral James Lawson walks into that reception hall, they'll finally see the truth. I didn't settle. I didn't compromise. I built a life with someone who sees me as an equal, not a subordinate. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this for me. I review my vows one last time, then fold the paper and tuck it into my jacket pocket. My phone buzzes. James. Ready for tomorrow? As ready as I'll ever be. Your family behaving? They're trying. That's all anyone can ask. I smile despite myself. See you at 1900. Wouldn't miss it for the world. Love you, Major Adams. Love you too, Admiral Lawson. I set down the phone, turn off the light, and lie down on the bed fully clothed. Tomorrow, everything changes. Tomorrow, I stop protecting their feelings at the expense of my truth. Tomorrow, they meet James. I wake at 05:30, earlier than necessary, but my internal clock doesn't negotiate. The room is dark except for the glow of the alarm clock. I shower, shave, pull my hair into a regulation bun. My dress uniform hangs beside the wedding dress. I'll wear both today. Blues for the civil ceremony at 0900, the dress for the reception afterward. By 0600, I'm dressed and reviewing the day's timeline. Sarah's supposed to arrive at 0730 to help coordinate. The photographer comes at 0800. The makeup artist, my mother's insistence, at 0815. Everything's scheduled, everything's planned. My phone rings, my father. Elena, we have a problem. I close my eyes. What problem? The caterer called. They're short-staffed. Your mother's losing her mind. Did you call the venue coordinator? Your mother's handling it. I just wanted to give you a heads up in case she calls. All right. Thanks. You doing okay? Big day. I'm fine. Good. Good. He pauses. Listen, about the other night, the rehearsal thing, I didn't mean to, it's fine, Dad. Yeah, but I want you to know, Dad. It's fine. Another pause. All right. Well, we'll see you at the courthouse. He hangs up. I set the phone down and breathe. Sarah arrives exactly on time, carrying 2 coffees and a bag from a local bakery. Figured you wouldn't eat, she says, handing me a coffee. So I brought sustenance. You're a saint. I'm a realist. She drops into the chair by the window. How are you feeling? Fine. That's what you said yesterday. And the day before. And every day since I've known you. I sip the coffee. Because it's true. Elena, you're getting married in 3 hours. It's okay to admit you're nervous. I'm not nervous about marrying James. I'm nervous about my family meeting him. Why? He's a goddamn admiral. What's there to be nervous about? Exactly. She studies me for a moment, then nods. You're worried they're going to embarrass themselves. I'm worried they're going to embarrass me. They won't. And even if they do, James has dealt with worse. The man commanded a carrier strike group. He can handle your father. I know she's right, but the knot in my stomach doesn't loosen. The makeup artist arrives, sets up her station, and gets to work. My mother calls twice, once about the caterer, once about the seating chart. I let Sarah handle both. By 08:45, I'm dressed in my blues, hair perfect, makeup subtle. I look like a recruiting poster. Sarah zips me into the dress. It fits perfectly, simple, elegant, nothing extraneous. I stare at myself in the mirror and barely recognize the woman looking back. You look beautiful, Sarah says. I look like I'm playing dress up. You look like a bride. We arrive at the courthouse at 08:55. My family's already there. My father in a suit that doesn't quite fit. My mother in a dress she's worn to 3 other weddings. Ethan in khakis and a button-down he clearly ironed himself. They're standing near the entrance, looking uncertain. My mother rushes over when she sees me. Oh, Elena, you look stunning. She adjusts my veil, smooths a non-existent wrinkle. I was so worried the dress wouldn't photograph well, but it's perfect. Thanks, Mom. My father nods approvingly. You clean up nice, kiddo. Ethan just says, damn, sis. We head inside. The ceremony's scheduled for 0900 in a small chamber on the 2nd floor. The judge, a family friend my mother somehow knew, is waiting, along with a handful of guests. Sarah stands beside me as my maid of honor. James's best man, a Navy captain named Marcus Reed, is supposed to arrive with James. At 08:58, I check my phone. No messages. At 0900, the door opens and James walks in. He's in his service dress blues, ribbons aligned perfectly, shoes polished to a mirror shine. But it's not the uniform that stops me, it's his face. Calm, steady, certain. He sees me and smiles, and everything else falls away. We exchange vows in front of the judge. I keep mine short, a promise to stand beside him, to honor our partnership, to face whatever comes together. His are similar, straightforward, honest, no embellishment. The judge pronounces us married. We kiss, and it's over. My mother cries. My father shakes James's hand and says, welcome to the family. Ethan mumbles something about finally meeting the mystery man. James handles it all with the same composure he handles everything, polite, gracious, giving nothing away. He calls my father sir, compliments my mother's dress, thanks Ethan for coming. They eat it up. We take photos on the courthouse steps. My mother insists on a dozen different configurations, me and James, me and my parents, the whole family, just the women, just the men. The photographer indulges her. James catches my eye during a pose change and winks. I almost laugh. By 10:30, we're done. The reception's not until 1800, so we have the afternoon free. James and I drive to a quiet park near the academy, still in our uniforms, and sit on a bench overlooking the valley. You survived, he says. Barely. Your family's not that bad. You haven't spent enough time with them yet. He laughs. Give them a chance, Elena. They're just trying to understand. They've had 34 years to understand. Fair point. He leans back, stretches his legs. You ready for tonight? Are you? Always. I lean against him, and we sit in silence for a while. The mountains are clear today, the sky impossibly blue. I think about the ceremony, the vows, the photos. I think about my mother's tears and my father's handshake and Ethan's grudging approval. And I think about tonight, about the reception, about the master of ceremonies, about the moment when everything shifts. James. Yeah, thank you. For what? For showing up. He pulls me closer. I'll always show up. We stay there until 1300, then head back to the hotel to change. The reception starts at 1800. 6 hours. I can do 6 hours. The reception hall is exactly what my mother wanted, elegant, but not ostentatious, plenty of natural light, room for dancing. She's outdone herself with the decorations. White roses everywhere, soft lighting, tables arranged in a horseshoe around the dance floor. The head table sits elevated at the front, overlooking everything. I arrive at 17:30 with Sarah. James is coming separately with Captain Reed, something about tradition, about not seeing each other before the entrance. My mother's already there, directing the caterers, adjusting centerpieces, checking the playlist with the DJ. My father's at the bar, nursing a scotch. Ethan's outside, smoking. Everything looks great, Mom, I tell her. She beams. I wanted it to be perfect. You deserve perfect. Guests start arriving at 17:45. Mostly military, officers I've served with, classmates from the academy, a few NCOs who mentored me early in my career. My family's contingent is smaller, a handful of aunts and uncles, some family friends, my father's old business associates. They cluster near the bar, looking slightly out of place among the uniforms. By 1800, the hall is full. I'm in a small anteroom off the main space, waiting for my cue. Sarah's with me, making sure my dress sits right, that my hair hasn't fallen loose. You nervous? She asks. No. Liar. I smile despite myself. Maybe a little. Good. You're human after all. There's a knock on the door, the event coordinator. Ready, Major? I nod. Sarah squeezes my hand, then slips out to take her seat. The coordinator speaks into her headset. Bride's ready. Cue the music. The door opens. I step into the hallway, and suddenly I can hear everything: the music, the murmur of conversation, the clink of glasses. I take a breath, smooth my dress, and walk. The hall goes quiet when I enter. All heads turn. I keep my eyes forward, focused on the head table, on the empty seat beside mine. The music swells. I reach the front, turn, and wait. The coordinator's voice comes over the sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the groom and his best man. The side doors open. Captain Reed enters first, moving with the precise bearing of a career officer. And then James. He's changed into his full dress uniform, white jacket, gold buttons, ribbons stacked perfectly on his chest. He moves with the kind of authority that doesn't need announcement, the kind you earn through decades of service. He catches my eye and smiles. We meet at the head table. He takes my hand, squeezes it gently. The coordinator steps up to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who haven't had the pleasure of meeting him yet, please join me in welcoming our groom, Admiral James Lawson, United States Navy. The room freezes. Every head snaps toward James. My father's glass slips from his hand, shattering on the floor. My mother's smile locks in place, her eyes wide. Ethan's mouth actually falls open. And then, slowly, movement ripples through the crowd. The military guests rise first, instinct, training, protocol. Then the civilians follow, uncertain but mimicking. Everyone's standing now, and the weight of that rank, that title, settles over the room like a held breath. Admiral Lawson. Oh, 10. For stars. James doesn't react. He just nods to the crowd, his expression calm, gracious. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and an even greater honor to join Major Adams's family today. His voice is steady, warm, carrying the kind of authority that comes from years of command. He gestures to my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Adams, thank you for raising such an exceptional woman. I promise to take good care of her. My father can't speak. He just nods, his face pale. My mother manages a weak smile. James takes his seat beside me, and the room gradually follows. There's a buzz now, whispers, stunned murmurs, the sound of assumptions collapsing in real time. Sarah catches my eye from across the room. She's grinning. The dinner proceeds. Courses are served, speeches are made. Captain Reed tells a story about James's time commanding a destroyer squadron. My maid of honor shares a memory from our academy days. The DJ plays our first dance song, a Sinatra classic James chose. We dance. The room watches. I can feel the shift in energy, the way people are looking at us now. Not pity, not amusement, respect. My father approaches during the second dance. James steps back, gives him space. May I? My father asks, gesturing to me. I nod. He takes my hand, and we move stiffly around the floor. He doesn't speak for a long moment. Finally, I didn't realize. I know. You could have told us. I tried. You didn't ask. He's quiet again. Then, he's impressive. He's more than that. He's a good man. Yeah. My father clears his throat. Yeah, I can see that. The song ends. He steps back and James returns to my side. My father shakes his hand again, this time with something that looks like genuine respect. Take care of her, Admiral. Always, James replies. My mother's next. She hugs me, whispering, I'm sorry. We should have, it's okay, Mom. No, it's not. We underestimated you. We underestimated him. I don't argue. I just hug her back and let it go. Ethan slouches over eventually, hands in his pockets. So, Admiral, huh? Yeah, that's really cool, sis. Thanks, Ethan. He shifts uncomfortably. I'm sorry for being a dick. About all of it. I know. He nods, then returns to his table. The rest of the evening unfolds smoothly. Cake is cut, toasts are made, photos are taken. James is patient with everyone, my family, his colleagues, the random guests who want to shake his hand or thank him for his service. He deflects praise, redirects credit, makes everyone feel heard. By 2200, the crowd has thinned. My parents leave early, my mother still looking slightly dazed. Ethan follows shortly after, mumbling something about an early shift. Sarah finds me near the end of the night. How do you feel? Tired. That's not what I meant. I look around the hall, the flowers, the lights, the empty tables. I feel lighter. Good. You deserve that. James and I leave at 2300. We have a flight out at 0600 tomorrow. Deployment orders came through last week. No honeymoon, no extended leave. Just another mission. In the car, James reaches over and takes my hand. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Your family seemed to come around. They did. Eventually. Good. That's what matters. I lean my head against the window, watching the city lights blur past. Thank you for tonight. For handling them the way you did. I didn't do anything special. You did. You showed them who you are. And in doing that, you showed them who I am. He squeezes my hand. You've always known who you are, Elena. They just needed to catch up. We drive in comfortable silence back to the hotel. Tomorrow, we'll board a transport to Virginia. Next week, we'll be halfway around the world. But tonight, we're just two people who chose each other, who built something real out of mutual respect and shared values. I'm not doing this for revenge. I never was. I'm doing this because I finally stopped needing their approval to know my worth. 3 months later, I'm in the co-pilot seat of AC-17 over the Pacific. The mission log is complete, the route is set, and we're 30 minutes from landing at Hickam. James is on a carrier somewhere in the 7th Fleet. We've exchanged a handful of emails, one video call that cut out halfway through due to bandwidth issues. Deployment life. We knew what we were signing up for. My phone buzzes with a message that must have queued during our last satellite window. It's from my mother. Hope you're safe. Dad wanted me to tell you he's proud of you. Call when you can. I stare at the screen for a moment, then pocket the phone. The words would have meant more a year ago. Now, they're just noise. Sarah is in the cargo bay, running pre-landing checks. I flip the intercom. 30 minutes out. Copy that. The pilot, a captain named Morrison, glances over at me. You good, Major? Yeah, just thinking. About? Weddings. He laughs. That was months ago. You still thinking about it? Sometimes. How's married life treating you? Same as single life, but with better company. He grins. Fair enough. We start our descent. The ocean stretches out below us, endless blue meeting endless sky. I think about that moment at the reception, the silence when James's rank was announced, the way the room shifted, the way my father's face changed. I think about my mother's apology, my brother's awkwardness, the way they all tried to reconcile the daughter they thought they knew with the woman I actually am. I don't feel vindicated. I don't feel victorious. I just feel free. Because here's the truth they never understood. I didn't join the service to prove something to them. I joined because I needed to prove something to myself. I needed to know I could build a life on my own terms, that I could earn respect through merit rather than inheritance, that I could stand on my own without their approval propping me up. And I did. I made Major. I led missions. I earned the salute, the rank, the responsibility. Meeting James wasn't about finding someone to validate me. It was about finding someone who understood what I'd already built, who saw my discipline, my sacrifice, my commitment, and matched it with his own. My family wanted me to settle. They wanted me to find someone safe, someone manageable, someone who wouldn't challenge the narrative they'd constructed about my life. Instead, I found a partner. An equal. Someone who respected the uniform I wore and the woman wearing it. The wedding wasn't revenge. It was revelation. They learned, in a single moment, what I'd been trying to tell them for decades, that rank is earned, that respect is mutual, that love isn't about lowering yourself to meet someone's expectations. It's about rising to meet your own potential and finding someone who'll rise with you. We land at Hickam at 14:30 local time. I help Sarah with post-flight, file my report, and check my email. There's one from James, sent 6 hours ago. Mission complete. Safe and sound. Miss you. I type back, same. See you in 3 weeks. I hit send, pocket my phone, and head to debriefing. That night, alone in my quarters on base, I pull out my wedding ring. I wear it on a chain around my neck during flights, regulation, no loose jewelry in the cockpit. I polish it with my uniform cloth, watching the light catch the gold. My mother's words echo in my head, we didn't realize. But that's the thing. They could have. They should have. All they had to do was ask. All they had to do was really see me instead of the version they'd constructed in their heads. I slip the ring back onto the chain, tuck it under my shirt, and lie down. I don't need their pride. I don't need their approval. I have James's respect, Sarah's loyalty, the rank I earned, and the knowledge that I built this life myself. They taught me what rank can't buy, that approval from people who don't respect you is worthless. He showed me what respect looks like when it's real, steady, quiet, mutual, and earned. I close my eyes and sleep. Tomorrow, I fly again. 1 year later, I'm standing in the kitchen of our house in Virginia Beach, watching the sunrise through the window over the sink. The coffee maker gurgles behind me, and I can hear James upstairs in the shower. It's 05:45 on a Saturday, our first full weekend home together in 3 months. The house still feels new, even though we closed on it 6 months ago. We picked it together during a rare overlap in our schedules, 3 days of leave that aligned perfectly. It's a small craftsman bungalow 2 miles from the base, with a front porch that needs repainting and a backyard that's mostly weeds. James wants to build a garden. I want to install a pull-up bar. We'll probably do both. My phone buzzes on the counter, my mother. I let it go to voicemail. She's called twice this week already, each time with some variation of the same question. When are we coming to visit? When can they see the house? Has James been promoted yet? Does he ever get time off? Are we thinking about kids? The questions used to irritate me. Now they just slide off. I learned something this past year. You can't force people to understand your life. You can only live it and hope they eventually catch up. The voicemail notification pops up. I don't listen to it. Instead, I pour 2 cups of coffee, black for me, cream and sugar for James, and head upstairs. He's in the bedroom, buttoning his khakis, hair still damp. He looks up when I enter and smiles. You're up early. Couldn't sleep. Bad dreams. No dreams. Just thinking. He takes the coffee, kisses my forehead. About? Anniversary stuff. It's not until next week. I know. But my mom keeps calling about it. He sips his coffee, studying me over the rim. You want to talk about it? Not really. All right. He sets down the mug, finishes, buttoning his shirt. What's on the agenda today? Grocery shopping. Laundry. Maybe a run if it doesn't rain. Sounds perfect. It does. After a year of deployments, briefings, and coordinated schedules that required spreadsheets and satellite phones, a day of mundane domesticity feels like luxury. We're halfway through breakfast when my phone rings again. This time it's my father. James glances at me, and I sigh. I should take this. Want privacy? No. Stay. I answer. Hey, Dad. Elena. Finally. Your mother's been trying to reach you all week. I know. I've been busy. Too busy for your family? I close my eyes briefly. What do you need, Dad? We want to come visit. See the house. Spend some time with you and James. It's been a year since the wedding, and we've barely seen you. We've been deployed. Both of you. Yes. Both of us. Well, you're home now, right? Your mother checked Facebook and saw James posted something about Virginia Beach. I make a mental note to talk to James about his privacy settings. We're home for the weekend. Then I'm back to Langley for a week of briefings, and James ships out again in 10 days. 10 days. That's plenty of time for us to drive down. Dad, come on, Elena. We haven't seen you since the wedding. Your mother misses you. I miss you. Even Ethan's asking about you. Ethan has my number. You know how he is. He's not going to just call. I look at James. He's scrolling through his tablet, pretending not to listen, but I can see the slight tension in his shoulders. He knows where this is going. Let me talk to James and check our schedules, I say. I'll call you back next week. Next week? Elena, next week, Dad. I promise. I hang up before he can argue. James looks up. They want to visit? Yeah. What did you tell them? That I'd check with you. He sets down his tablet. Do you want them to visit? I don't know. That's not an answer. I drain my coffee, set the mug down harder than necessary. The last time I saw them was at the wedding. When they spent months mocking everything about it until they realized who you were. Then suddenly they cared. Suddenly I was worth their time. People change, Elena. Do they? Or do they just adjust their behavior based on what benefits them? He's quiet for a moment. Then, what do you want to do? I want to not think about it for another week. Fair enough. We finish breakfast in comfortable silence, then tackle the day's chores. James drives us to the commissary, where we stock up on basics. I handle laundry while he mows the lawn. By 1400, we're both exhausted in the best way, the kind of tired that comes from physical work rather than stress. We're sitting on the back porch, drinking iced tea, when my phone buzzes again. This time it's a text from Ethan. Hey, Mom said you're ignoring her calls. Just talk to her. She's driving me crazy. I show the message to James. He reads it and shakes his head. You're not responsible for managing their feelings. I know. Do you? I look at him. What's that supposed to mean? It means you spent your whole life trying to keep the peace. And even now, even after everything, you're still doing it. I'm not, Elena. His voice is gentle but firm. You don't owe them anything. You paid their mortgage. You covered their bills. You funded your brother's mistakes. You've given them everything they've asked for and more. At some point, you get to set boundaries. They're my family. I'm your family now too. And I'm telling you, you don't have to do this. I set down my glass, lean back in my chair. The yard stretches out before us, overgrown and wild. In the distance, I can hear traffic from the main road, the occasional bark of a neighbor's dog. I'll call her tomorrow, I say finally. Set some ground rules. If they want to visit, fine. But they need to respect our time and our space. And if they don't? Then they don't come. He nods, satisfied. Good. That evening, we drive to the beach. It's nearly empty, too cold for most tourists, too late for families. We walk along the shore, shoes in hand, letting the waves wash over our feet. James tells me about his upcoming deployment, 6 weeks in the Mediterranean, joint exercises with NATO forces. I tell him about my briefings at Langley, classified stuff I can't discuss in detail, but he knows the general shape of it. You scared? He asks. Of the mission? Of being apart again. I think about it. No. We've done this before. We'll do it again. Doesn't make it easier. No. But it makes it predictable. And I can handle predictable. He slips his hand into mine. We walk in silence for a while, watching the sun sink toward the horizon. You know what I realized? I say. What? This past year, the deployments, the distance, all of it, it's been easier than I thought it would be. Not because the work is easy, but because I trust you. I trust that you'll come back, that you'll keep your word, that we're building something real. We are. I know. And that's what makes my family so hard. Because I don't trust them the same way. I don't trust that they've changed. I don't trust that they see me as anything other than a means to an end. He stops walking, turns to face me. Then don't let them in until they prove otherwise. You get to decide who has access to your life, Elena. You've earned that right. I look at him, this man who commands thousands, who carries the weight of national security on his shoulders, who somehow still finds time to remind me that I'm allowed to have boundaries. How did I get so lucky? I ask. You didn't get lucky. You chose well. There's a difference. We walk back to the car as the sky turns pink and gold. On the drive home, I draft a text to my mother in my head, something polite but firm, something that makes it clear I'm not the daughter who jumps when they call anymore. But I don't send it yet. I need to sit with it, make sure I'm saying what I mean and not just reacting out of frustration. Sunday morning, I'm up at 0600 for a run. James is still asleep, so I leave a note on the counter and head out. The neighborhood is quiet, the air cool and damp. I run my usual route, 3 miles out, 3 miles back, mostly flat with one hill that always makes me regret my life choices. I'm halfway up the hill when I see her, a woman in Air Force PT gear, running toward me. She nods as we pass, and I nod back. It's automatic, that recognition between service members, that silent acknowledgement that we're part of the same world. I think about Elena from a year ago, standing in that bridal boutique, listening to her mother criticize her choices. I think about the rehearsal dinner, the condescending toasts, the assumption that I couldn't do better than James. And I think about the reception, the silence when his rank was announced, the way everything shifted in an instant. I'm not that person anymore. Not the woman who needed validation, who softened her accomplishments to make others comfortable, who paid their bills and swallowed their insults because family comes first. Now, I'm the woman who runs at 0600 on a Sunday because it clears my head. Who married an admiral because he's my equal, not my superior. Who deployed 3 times this year and came home to a partner who understands what that means. I finish my run and find James in the kitchen, making pancakes. Good run, he asks. Yeah, needed it. You figure out what you're going to tell your mom? I think so. After breakfast, I sit on the porch with my phone and finally call her back. She answers on the first ring. Elena. I've been so worried, Mom, I'm fine. I've just been busy. Too busy to call your mother? I take a breath. I'm calling now. What did you need? I told your father we want to come visit. See your house, spend time with you and James. It's been a year since the wedding. I know. And I appreciate that you want to visit. But I need to be clear about some things first. Silence on the other end. Then, what things? If you come, you need to respect our time. We have limited leave, and when we're home, we're recovering from deployments. We can't host for a week or entertain constantly. We wouldn't expect you to. Let me finish, Mom. You also need to respect our choices. Our house, our careers, our marriage, these are ours. I'm not looking for advice or criticism or suggestions on how we should be living. If you can't do that, then visiting isn't a good idea right now. Another pause. Are you saying we're not welcome? I'm saying you're welcome if you can respect boundaries. If you come down here and start nitpicking or making jokes or treating me like I'm still the daughter who needs your approval, then no. You're not welcome. Elena, that's not fair. It's completely fair. I spent my whole life trying to earn your respect, and it took marrying an admiral for you to give it to me. That says more about you than it does about me. We've always been proud of you, no, Mom. You've always been proud of what I could do for you. The money I sent, the bills I paid, the image of success I projected. But you weren't proud of me. Not really. Not until you saw what James represented. I can hear her breathing on the other end, but she doesn't respond. I love you, I continue. But I'm not going to keep pretending that everything's fine when it's not. If you want a relationship with me, with us, it has to be built on something real. Not obligation. Not guilt. Real respect. I don't know what you want me to say, Elena. I want you to say you understand. That you'll think about it. That maybe, for once, you'll consider how your actions affected me instead of just defending your intentions. More silence. I'll call you in a few weeks, I say. After I've had time to breathe and you've had time to think. If you still want to visit, we can talk about it then. Elena, I have to go, Mom. Take care of yourself. I hang up before she can respond, before I can second-guess myself, before the old patterns pull me back in. James steps out onto the porch. He doesn't say anything, just sits beside me and puts his arm around my shoulders. How do you feel? He asks after a while. Terrified. Relieved. Guilty. Free. All of the above? Yeah. Good. That means you did the right thing. We sit there for a long time, watching the neighbors walk their dogs, listening to the wind move through the trees. My phone buzzes a few times, texts from my mother that I don't read yet. I'll look at them later when I'm ready. For now, I just sit with my husband on our porch in our house, feeling the weight of a lifetime of obligations slowly lift. The next week passes in a blur of briefings and preparations. I'm at Langley from 0700 to 1800 most days, reviewing intelligence reports, coordinating with other units, planning contingencies. James is at the naval base in Norfolk, doing his own version of the same. We see each other in the evenings, exhausted but grateful for the time. We cook simple dinners, watch old movies, fall asleep on the couch. It's mundane and perfect. On Thursday night, 5 days before our anniversary, my mother calls again. This time I answer. Hi, Mom. Elena. Her voice is careful, measured. I've been thinking about what you said. Okay, you're right. About a lot of it. Maybe not all of it, but enough. I don't respond. I just wait. Your father and we didn't handle things well. The wedding, the years before it. We were so caught up in our own problems, our own failures, that we didn't see what you were building. What you'd accomplished. I tried to tell you. I know. And we didn't listen. We made assumptions. We thought, she pauses. We thought you were just like us. That you'd hit the same ceiling we did, need the same help. And when you didn't, when you kept rising, we didn't know how to handle it. I close my eyes. This is the most honest conversation we've had in years. I'm sorry, she continues. For the comments, the jokes, the way we treated James before we knew who he was. We were small. And you deserved better. Yeah, I did. Can we? Her voice cracks slightly. Can we try again? Start over, maybe? I don't know if we can start over, Mom. But we can start fresh. With new rules. What kind of rules? The kind I already laid out. Respect, boundaries, honesty. No more backhanded compliments. No more jokes at my expense. No more assuming you know what's best for my life. We can do that. Can you? Because it's going to mean biting your tongue sometimes. It's going to mean accepting choices you don't understand or agree with. It's going to mean treating me like an adult, not a child who needs guidance. We can try. That's all I can promise. We can try. I look at James, who's sitting across from me reading. He glances up, raises an eyebrow. I nod. All right, I tell her. You can visit. 2 days, next month. I'll send you some dates that work with our schedules. But Mom, if you come down here and fall back into old patterns, I'm going to ask you to leave. I won't be mean about it, but I will be firm. I understand. And one more thing. You need to talk to Dad and Ethan. Make sure they understand the rules too. I'm not going to police everyone's behavior. You're all adults. Act like it. I will. Thank you, Elena, for giving us another chance. Don't thank me yet. Just show up differently. We say goodbye, and I hang up feeling cautiously optimistic. James closes his book. How'd it go? Better than expected. She apologized. Did she mean it? I think so. But we'll see. He nods. Actions speak louder. Exactly. That night, lying in bed, I think about the year that's passed. The deployments that tested us. The distance that taught us how to communicate. The wedding that revealed the fault lines in my family. The conversations that followed, the boundaries I set, the life I built with someone who sees me clearly. I think about Major Elena Adams from a year ago, standing in that reception hall, watching her family's faces change when they learned who she'd married. I remember thinking it wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity. I was right. But it was also about something else. It was about claiming my life as my own. About refusing to shrink or explain or apologize for the choices that made me whole. James rolls over, pulls me close. You okay? Yeah. Just thinking. About? How different everything is now. Better different or worse different? Better. Definitely better. He kisses my temple. Good. Now get some sleep. You have that 0700 briefing tomorrow. I close my eyes and let myself drift. Tomorrow I'll be Major Adams again, sitting in a classified briefing room, making decisions that matter. And tomorrow night I'll come home to this house, this man, this life I chose. No regrets. No apologies. Just forward motion. Our anniversary falls on a Friday. James manages to get the day off, and I take leave for a long weekend. We don't do anything elaborate, just breakfast at a local diner, a walk on the beach, dinner at the Italian place where we had our first date. Over dessert, James slides an envelope across the table. For you. I open it. Inside is a single sheet of paper, orders for a joint assignment in Naples, starting in 6 months. 18 months overseas, working together, living together, finally syncing our schedules. You requested this? I ask. We both did. It came through yesterday. If you want it. If I want it? James, I stop, trying to find words. This is everything. It's not without complications. The hours will be brutal. The op-tempo is intense. And we'll still have some separation built in. But we'll have a home base together. A life together. I read the orders again, making sure they're real. When do we tell people? Whenever you want. I think about my family, about the visit they're planning next month. About whether this news will be met with genuine happiness or just more questions about why I can't settle down, why I always have to be moving, why I chose this life. And then I realize I don't care. Let them think what they want. I'm not making decisions based on their approval anymore. Let's tell them when they visit, I say. If they react badly, they can leave early. James grins. You're getting ruthless in your old age. I'm learning from the best. We finish dessert, split the check, our tradition, and drive home. The house is dark when we arrive, but it feels warm. Lived in. Ours. Inside, I pour 2 glasses of wine and meet James on the back porch. The stars are out tonight, sharp and clear above us. You know what I was thinking about earlier? I say. What? The rehearsal dinner. My dad's toast. The way he made that joke about me outranking my husband. James chuckles. He wasn't wrong to worry. No, but he was wrong about why it mattered. He thought rank was about power, about who's in control. He didn't understand that it's about responsibility. About serving something bigger than yourself. Most people don't. I know. And I spent so long trying to explain it to them. Trying to make them understand what I do, why it matters, why I chose this life. But I don't need to anymore. They either get it or they don't. And if they don't, then they miss out. On knowing me. On understanding this. I gesture to the space between us. On seeing what real partnership looks like. He's quiet for a moment. Then, you've changed this year. Have I? Yeah. You're lighter. More certain. Less burdened. Is that good? It's great. It's who you were always supposed to be. I lean into him, and we sit under the stars, drinking wine, talking about Naples and the future and all the missions still to come. My phone buzzes around 2200. A text from my mother. Happy anniversary, sweetheart. We're so happy for you both. I show it to James. Progress. Maybe. We'll see. I type back a simple thank you and set the phone aside. Later, getting ready for bed, I catch my reflection in the bathroom mirror. I look older than I did a year ago, sharper, somehow. More defined. The uniform hanging on the back of the door bears the same rank, but I wear it differently now. Not as armor. As identity. I think about that moment at the wedding, the silence, the revelation, the shift. My family learned who James was in an instant. But what they didn't learn, what maybe they still don't fully understand, is who I am. I'm not the daughter who sends checks and swallows insults anymore. I'm not the woman who softens her accomplishments to make others comfortable. I'm Major Elena Adams, United States Air Force. I'm a pilot, a leader, a wife. I'm someone who earned every rank, every ribbon, every hard-won piece of respect. And I don't need anyone's permission to be proud of that. James appears in the doorway. You coming to bed? Yeah, just thinking. About how far we've come. Both of us. He walks over, wraps his arms around me from behind. We stand there for a moment, looking at our reflection together. You know what I love about you, he says. What? You never settled. For anything. Not for a career, not for a partner, not for a version of yourself that made other people comfortable. You just kept becoming more Elena. More of who you actually are. Is that what you see? It's what everyone sees. Some people just take longer to catch up. I turn in his arms, kiss him. Thank you. For what? For showing up. Every time. In every way that matters. That's what partners do. We go to bed, and I fall asleep thinking about Naples, about new missions, about the life we're building together. Not perfect. Not easy. But real. And in the morning, when I wake up beside him, I'll do what I've done every morning this year. I'll put on my uniform, look in the mirror, and remind myself that respect, real respect, is something you earn. My family taught me what rank can't buy, their approval, which turned out to be worthless anyway. James taught me what respect looks like when it's real, steady, mutual, earned through action rather than title. And I taught myself the most important lesson of all: I don't need anyone's permission to know my worth. I am Major Elena Adams. And I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That's where I drew the line, and I haven't looked back. If this hit home, like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a push to set boundaries. Quick questions for you. Have you ever been mocked or minimized at your own milestone, wedding, graduation, promotion? What happened? When family crossed the line, did you correct them in the moment or later? What would you do differently now? Where's your boundary today? Explain less, enforce more, or walk away. If you were in my shoes, would you reveal the rank early or let the room learn the hard way? What's one sentence you wish you'd said to a parent or sibling who wouldn't respect you? Drop your answers in the comments. I read them.